mentally prepare to cold call? How do you get your mind right, man? No, but for real, let's talk about this, okay? Cold calling is scary. And for anybody out there that thinks, even for me, to this day, I still get a little butterflies. And I kind of like it at this point. I'm kind of addicted to it because overcoming that is a euphoria in and of itself. But when you've never done it before, which that was me 10 years ago, I'd never done cold calling. I'd never sold anything. And I was put in a position because I took a job, because I chased the money, where I was getting dropped off in neighborhoods to sell home security for a company that was not that well known at the time. 10 years ago, this company was not that well known. So it was terrifying. And my background, for anybody that doesn't know, is I was raised on a farm, okay, in a small, I call it a village, a small town in southern Utah of 2,000 people, 40 in my graduating class. The only job I ever had was working for my father, doing all the stuff you'd think of on a farm, cutting sagebrush, driving tractors, moving irrigation pipe, all that. That was my job, okay? So I could run circles around people with that kind of stuff, but I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know how to talk to people. And I had this crazy idea, well, dude, I'm going to go sell and I'm going to make all this money because then I don't have to go to college. And that's what I did. So I learned some things during this time that I still use to this day. And one of them is, how do you mentally prepare yourself to cold call? And first of all, I'm going to give you a little spoiler alert here. You're never going to be completely ready. Okay, you're not. I remember the very first day I went out. And again, guys, we got to have some context here. When we're cold calling, we are literally on a phone in the comfort of our homes, wearing whatever we want to wear, the temperature however we want to do it. Like, we're not in person. So they can't hurt you, right? They can't hurt you. They can't slam the door. Nobody's watching. So we have to have, first of all, you need to have some context of it could be way different. You could be going to a business, walking in front of everyone in that business and delivering your pitch, okay? We're literally sitting in our homes with our phones, and if they are rude or they're dicks, who cares? Who cares? It's not gonna hurt you. So you have to kind of get in that frame of mind first and go, dude, this is not that big of a deal. Who cares? You're never going to see that person, ever going to see that person in your entire life. You're sitting in Utah, you're calling somebody in Missouri. When are you going to see them? You're not, man. So that's number one. You got to give yourself some context, okay? Another thing with context is I always remind myself, I'm like, look, dude, in 100 years, every single person on this planet is going to be dead. We're all going to be in the ground. So if I'm going to let that stop me from making this phone call to make money for my family, to chase my dreams and build my empire, shame on me, man. That's on me. So I got to get myself kind of in that mode. But here's the trick, okay? And I learned this on accident. But I learned it the very, very first day I ever did this. And I was so nervous. I remember exactly, I have a very vivid detail. We went and they're like, hey, we're going to go to Subway. It's 11 in the morning. I'm like, dude, I'm not hungry at 11 in the morning. I don't ever eat breakfast. They're like, well, you're probably going to want the footlong, bro, because we're picking you up at 9 or whenever it gets dark. Okay. When the cop starts calling, start getting called. So I ordered a 6-inch because I still wasn't hungry. I think it was a chicken bacon ranch, if memory serves me correctly. I'm in Southern California. I ordered the sandwich, I muscled it down, and I went in the bathroom and was sick. Not throw up, everything else. And I had just that nervous, I'd made myself sick, physically sick, thinking about going and knocking on doors. And I can still remember the fear as I'm even saying that. I can put myself in that situation. It was terrifying. And I remember just driving out. So we get in the car and we're driving out and I'm like, I don't know where my neighborhood's going to be. I'm actually, as I'm saying this, my heart is kind of pounding a little bit. It's kind of crazy how this is. And I remember just is that going to be my neighborhood? And I'm like, I hope they drop that guy off first. I hope I'm the last one. And man, I just remember trying to put it off. We finally get to my neighborhood where I'm going to work this area, a couple streets. And I get out and they're like, good luck. I zip up my jacket because this is January, but it's in California, so it's not, by the way, that's the other piece of this. I was in California, which is the worst place to knock doors. I've knocked a lot of states, worst one I've ever knocked in. So all of that, right? Anyway, I get out, I get my stuff, and I stick it on top of one of those mailboxes, the big cinder block ones, or not cinder block, the big brick ones, so I could set it on top. And I looked down the street, and I thought, okay, here's the game plan. I'm gonna find the nicest old family, sweet little old lady, and I'm probably not gonna do a good job. She probably doesn't need it, but I'm gonna at least like practice my pitch, and she won't be rude, right? So I organize my stuff again in my binder, and I go and I pick a house. And I walk up to the house, and I just remember I knocked the door. I actually rang the doorbell because I was too scared to knock. I just rang the doorbell, and I waited, and I'm just swallowing because I'm nervous. And little old lady didn't come out of the house, guys. Little old lady did not come out of the house. If you guys have ever seen the guy that owns the UFC, Dana White, that bald guy, freaking that guy, not him himself, but like his doppelganger answered the door, just taking up the doorway, just answers the door, doesn't let his hand off the knob. I got maybe a sentence in, and he didn't say a single solitary word. He just slams the door. Okay? And I was like, okay, we're in this. Let's go. But here's what's interesting. That was the worst possible outcome, I thought. Having somebody do that was my biggest fear, is having somebody do that to me right off the bat. But you know what's crazy is the second that happened, I walked down the sidewalk and I thought to myself, it can't get worse than that. Like, it literally can't. I just got the door slammed on me. Like, and most embarrassing thing that could happen. And it didn't hurt that bad. And so guess what? I went, and all of a sudden I just kind of got pissed off, and I'm like, screw this, man. I'm just going to go start tearing down doors. And I went on a freaking tirade, and I just started knocking doors. I'm like, you know what? That didn't kill me, so I'm going to go hit another one. That didn't kill me, but hit another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. And I ended up selling the first day, like 3 hours in. I sold the second day, the third day, which was a really big accomplishment for somebody that had never done that type of sale or any type of sale ever. And I did it, and I learned that day the best way to prepare to cold call is to go and get freaking kicked in the mouth. Literally. Like, the days that I had my biggest days was when I would go and knock on the door, and boom, I'd have the meanest person in the entire neighborhood tear into me, rip me to shreds, because what it did is it kind of jolted me. It's like jumping in cold water. But secondly, it just got that blood flowing, and I'm like, okay, that was the worst possible outcome that could have happened, and I just had it happen, and it didn't hurt that bad. I'm still alive. Let's go. The days when I didn't have that, the days when I kind of had like that soft pitch, and they were like, nah, we're good. And I was tiptoeing around all day, tiptoeing, just timid. The days when I knocked on the door and I just got it slammed in my face, dude, I got pissed. I'm like, screw this. I'm going to get a freaking deal. Who are these people to freaking slam the door on me, man? And that didn't hurt that bad, so I'm going to go sell your neighbor, and then I'm going to come back to you. And I did that a couple times, okay? And I got to the point when I was at the peak, when I was crushing it and I was doing the very, very best, I was actually looking for the hardest door. I was looking for the person that in my head was going to be the douchebag. I was looking for that super perfect driveway with the nice trim thing and the Mercedes, and just like, okay, I hope this guy's a douchebag. I hope this person's rude to me, because you know what? I'm going to have you be rude to me, sir, because I'm going to go have a huge day. I'm making a lot of money. I'm going to make more than you made this month. That was like the things I told myself. The whole takeaway from this, guys, is instead of tiptoeing, instead of timid, or I'm going to warm up, no, just go. Just go and get the no. Just go and call somebody. Just pick up the freaking phone. Get yourself in that, like, okay, cool. I'm not knocking on doors. I'm freaking, like, let's remember that. And then pick up the phone and just call. Who cares? Who cares? But I'm telling you, getting punched in the mouth right at the beginning is the best thing that could happen for you to have a huge day. That is how I prep for cold calling.